So we got the call from the animal control officer that the moose was hanging around this neighborhood. A lot of these neighborhoods have fences around their properties. We are in a position where there's plenty of wooded area to the north and to the south. So, you know, typically what we would do is try to get the moose back in the direction away from, you know, the urban area and further into the bigger woods. But because of all these fences around these houses and the main road here, it was a little bit difficult to get it to move the way we wanted it to. And it was also contained in an area here, so we decided to go ahead and dart it to immobilize it, and then we're going to go move it a little bit further north of here in an area close to its typical home range. So it will hopefully stay in that area. This one, because we had it in a controlled situation in this backyard, it actually worked out quite well because we had her close enough that we could get a dart in her relatively easily. And it was very contained. You know, we didn't have a big crowd or a lot of risk of vehicles and everything today. So the police did a really good job of blocking off this road here to limit traffic, you know, in case she did make a move across the road so that nobody would get injured. So I think this went very smoothly, and we'll continue to monitor her, you know, throughout the rest of the day where the release is. For most of the state, it's perfectly normal to see wildlife moving through your backyard, and just to, you know, appreciate that there's nature out there. But in certain situations, they tend to come into very urban areas, and for a large animal like a moose, it can become a public safety hazard. And in those situations where it gets into a very urban area where there's not a lot of options for escape, that's where, you know, this option is typically taken. But in most of the time, for people just to enjoy the, you know, the experience of seeing a wild animal, and usually that doesn't have to lead to, you know, moving it out of an area. But I would say for this time of the year, we're still in the moose mating season. So you have moose that are moving around more frequently, crossing roads more frequently. So everybody needs to be aware when they're driving to be careful on the roads. And then we are moving into the mating season for deer, white-tailed deer soon. So again, this time of the year, everybody needs to be very careful on the roads to be vigilant, drive slow, be very careful about animals, especially large animals like moose getting on the road. It's a very dangerous collision because they're so high, the center of gravity. When you hit one with a vehicle, the body of the moose tends to go through the windshield, whereas if it's a deer, it typically hits the bumper. So it's a very, you know, it's very cautious with moose, and never try to swerve. If you see a deer or moose on the road, don't try to swerve to avoid the accident. Your best option is to just slow down and keep going straight. That way you don't endanger other drivers and you don't end up going off the road and hitting something like a tree. So that's what we would recommend. This particular moose was about, what, 1,600 pounds? No, probably closer to about 600 or 700 pounds. It's a female, adult female. Maybe even a little bit lighter than that.